Welcome back on deynonmod. Today I want to propose you a video about
the unboxing video about the Transformers Age of the Prime Aerialbot Silverbolt. I designed this model since I was a child because I loved Superion, but I had only the part about the legs and the arms, never the centerpiece that is the Concorde. And finally I have it, so I'm really quite happy about. We can see that about the box it's quite big. We can compare with a box of AairRaid, so okay, you can understand how big it is. And we can see that it's the third of 5 models. I yet brought you the part about the AairRaid and Slingshot, and I yet received Skydive and Fireflight that when they arrive I'll bring to you, so not bad. And I quite love about such box. We can see here this that it's part of the puzzle about the Age of the Primes, and we can eventually combine with the other boxes here to create everything, so step by step we can recreate. But if you are curious about the puzzle itself, it's simple because here we have all pieces, that it's all the box. So okay, not bad at all, sincerely, I quite appreciate. And sincerely, if you want to really break the box, sincerely I suggest you to cut eventually these parts and keep, because it will be a pity eventually, and sincerely I find it really quite interesting. Here we have this that it's the image about Superion and that I quite love. Eventually you can cut and use as a bookmark, which could be an option. And here we can see the part about the transformation, the various options that we have. So we have here the Silverbolt in the robot and in the Concorde version, in the 3 mode. Here we have the part about Superion. As you can see, this Silverbolt it's really the complete Superion. So here we can find that these are accessories. Sincerely, I lamented quite a lot more about AairRaid how there's been brought, because they could be even missing and it not feel anything worse. So it's a bit of pity. Remember that what we see about the Skydive and Fireflight will be using the same mode as the other two, simply with different external parts. So not quite liking more about AairRaid, but at the same time it's not bad. Here we have this that it's the part about the robot version of the Silverbolt, with the part that it remains that you can create the other pieces of the Superion to create a sort of defense mode, so it's not bad. And here we can find the alternative mode about the Concorde using these parts remaining that brings a sort of Super Concorde, so not bad at all. Sincerely, I appreciate this Silverbolt, but it's not the best. Okay, it's the best in my opinion about all the things that you can have as an alternative, because I never appreciate the other ones. It's original, so I quite like, but at the same time I'm a bit missing the part about having the arms and the legs being the models. It's really like a Menazor, and sincerely I not appreciate the Menazor as option that has been listed. And okay, it's not bad anyway, I quite like, but it's not my favorite. Okay, it's my favorite, but not the best that I thought. But I finally have, so I'm quite happy, because finally dreamed since quite a lot of years ago, finally comes to life, so not bad. Now I have only to open the box and free the model, because I want to have a lot of fun. And so here we can find the parts that are, so here have the Silverbolt itself, here the other pieces that goes to create the Superion, here we have the weaponry, and here we have the instruction with the guarantee. So about the instruction, sincerely I suggest you to give a sight, because it's not complicated to transform, but remember that you have all the different options, so better eventually to understand much better about this. So let's free the model, because it has quite a lot of things to really pay attention about. So okay, it's a lot of space that it's I can say a bit too much used, but wow, let's free it. Okay, let's see about the models. Here we have the weaponry, and here we have the main part about Superion, because if we flip, we can find the part about the arms and the legs, so the main part of the body. Okay, and here also the Concorde. If you think that it's missing the point here, okay, you flip up this part, flip this point and close, and you can also regulate the angle as for the Concorde, so not bad. Sincerely, if you see from the upper part, it's quite not bad. The problem is when you flip over, because we can find here the head of Superion and the body, so it's that problem, because okay, but being like this, it's not really the best in my opinion. Still, it's still quite interesting. I want also to make a comparison with the other Aerialbots. So we have AairRaid and here we have Slingshot, and we can find that it's not bad, but in proportion it's smaller, because we see about the cabins here. We can find that technically AairRaid it's almost bigger than the Concorde itself, and it's not the best solution in my opinion. So the model, it has quite a lot of intriguing parts, but at the same time it's missing a bit of realistic compared to the same model. Okay, here we can compare also with Shard for the Lock Lords, the Armorizer, so we can think that it's not bad. But if we see that for the Aerialbots it's really comparable. Okay, for this that it's a Commander as Concorde, it's missing something. Okay, but there is a trick to make it bigger, because we can take off again this part, we can take this weaponry, little change the angle here, then you see the horizontal point here and this one, you combine in this way so that you can position, you secure this part and you create so the wings like this. Then we flip over these little wings, then this part here you flip up like this, take the Concorde, flip the wings like this. Do you see this part? Flip again in these ones, so we can find like this, and then we make a connection like this. So you make a sure add, then you flip back, okay, and it's secured. So because here we have this connection here that it's available. Eventually you can flip down this and you create the Super Concorde. It's not the best maybe, but it has quite a lot of potential. It's still quite intriguing, and we can find on the back that it's like this. Okay, so not the best maybe, but not bad at all. Okay, it's quite having a lot of potential about doing such things. And about the weapon that it's missing, you can simply add on the bottom here, so you can simply add in this way connecting, and we have the mod that it's complete. So if you want to put on the shells and so on in this version, you can make that you don't have anything that it's platforming or so on, and it's not bad. Okay, but sincerely it loses a bit of its way. You can see that eventually it's a Cybertron version, so it has potential too, but it's okay, quite heavy, so pay attention. And if we flip, we can find all the parts seeable, so not the best maybe, but okay. So quite intriguing, I think. In this version, maybe there are some things that you could say up, other down. I'm quite curious to know. And now we see about the other modes. And then I want to show you about the landing wheels for the Concorde and a special not official transformation. So we can have the front part with this, we can have to push up here so we can move up, and we make this moving so that we have the front of the landing wheels. And the other two forms the part about the gun in the robot version. So we can simply flip this up here. Okay, pay attention to your fingers, and done. So you can arrive and start. You can use eventually this as a base, okay, but there is another option about this that could be not official but intriguing. So we can remove these parts, we can separate these two ones, we can make in such a way so that we can create an intriguing part, remove this in such a way to make it a bit longer, and you have a road to arrive and then to move up. And now the time to transform the Concorde in the robot version. So let's analyze about the robot version. Here we can start from the feet that has this protruding. Okay, eventually you could close, but you have this little piece here that it goes out and make it quite unstable. And moreover, it's better to keep open because here the mass part of the weight it's on the back, so it tends to flip otherwise. So it's better to have this even if anti-static. Okay, here have this part that are the hosts that keep, as we've seen, the part about the punches, but not the best. Okay, it's on one of the few hosts because we can see the other ones are these ones, and it's a bit of pity that there is such a mess. Other hosts that there are and eventually are these pieces that are the transformation. It's not much visible, so it's not so bad, but you have to pay attention eventually. And something else to say, it's about the part about here, the part of the breast. As you've seen, I removed the antennas from the head itself, because technically there is inside here the position to put the antenna in, so you should not remove. But it's quite, I can say, not safe if you don't put it precisely. It risks to break the antenna, so I prefer to remove them, and I find them much more safe. You have to pay attention when you close, okay, but it's not a problem. And about the movement of this model, we can see that it has legs. It has quite interesting mobility, so it's not bad. Eventually, remember that you can also put this up and down a bit. Then about here, the breast, here you can't move because there is all this part that it's connected, and so you can't move. About the arms, eventually you can have quite a lot of interesting rotation, so it's quite intriguing. A pity that the wrists are not mobile. And here we have the part of that can be moved in quite a lot of interesting positions, so it's not bad at all, and it has really quite a lot of potential. The real problem about this model, I think that it's this little piece here when you transform from the Concorde to the robot, because this, okay, it's technically resilient, but it gives me always the idea that it tends to break. So pay attention, because it's I think that the most delicate part of all the model, in my opinion. Okay. And here I suggest you not to put this completely in so that you can film it, because it's useless, and sincerely you can simply keep like this and it works. It's simply not a problem at all. So it's not really quite bad. I quite appreciate. Maybe could be done a bit better, the working, in my opinion. It has seen quite a lot of better transformation. Still, it's quite intriguing. I quite like. It's really quite interesting, so much that I make also you see some comparison quite soon. And okay, it has quite a lot of potential. I quite appreciate. And I wanted also to show you some trick about the backpack that you have when you transform in Silverbolt. You can, instead of bend the part of the tail here, take this up and simply make that it's shooty and it's taken like this, so that it has a more sustainable. It's intriguing. Or eventually you can flat and opening these parts, as we have seen for the Super Concorde. Then push this up, rotate so that you can have this in a better version, because you have this that it's not up. Okay, and eventually there is another trick, and that's that you can open this part. Instead of putting the antenna inside here, you can put them inside this part. You have to pay a bit of attention when you position them. Then you can close and you can store them even more safely. So it's another option that you could be interested about. It's up to you decide. Since I don't like this, because there is such a that it's not my favorite. I prefer to have in this position, but still it's an option that could be useful if you want. It's up to you to decide. Anyway, it's a cute trick. And then I wanted to make you see the comparison of this Silverbolt to other models. So here we can see against an Imperial Knight of the Games Workshop, and we can see that it's the same side. So if you remove the part about the weaponry, it's the same side, so not bad at all. And here against Vulcanicus, so all the component of Vulcanicus, its eye has Silverbolt itself. Okay, not bad. And then I want to make you see with the other Aerialbot of the same model combiners. So you have AairRaid and Silverbolt, and we can find that there is quite a height of difference. It's not a problem because in the original cartoon it was like this, so there was quite a high difference between the values. So it's quite accurate in that way, okay, but surely we can see how much it's different. It's not bad at all. And then I wanted to make you see also another big model that I have as comparison, and it's the Deynonmod. And here we can find that it's quite intriguing because they're almost the same height. Okay, that is the backpack that it's high here, but it's almost the same. If you think that here the backpack is more behind, it's really quite similar and comparable, and it's not bad at all. I quite appreciate as options, so not bad at all. And remember that the piece that comes with the model here, it's like this, so we can find that it could be eventually used as a sort of barricade, but we can see that there is a conversion also to use this, so we'll see quite soon. So really quite appreciate this. It's a model that it's not bad, maybe it could be done quite better, okay, but also in this version it's quite appreciated. So let's transform this wall in the artillery position. So we push up these pieces here, we remove this part that it's connecting, and we remove all this. Then we push again down this and we position this, and we flip these parts so that we can have these pieces with these inserts here for both the sides. And here are the pieces where they're going to connect. So we can simply push these on these ones, and it's ready. Sincerely, it's not the best transformation, it's not something that I like, but it's official. Then we keep the weapon, we fold up, and then we can see that here we have this connector here that goes in these pieces here, so it's ready. And about the weapon that remain, we can simply push inside here. So okay, we have only to take the right finger, so otherwise we can position on the model, and it's stable and ready. So here it's the teleposition. Not my favorite, essentially it's not something that I quite appreciate. I would have preferred something else, but it's official one. Still missing quite a lot of potential. Would be better in many other ways, but okay, we take note. Still, here we have the artillery position. Take note. About the weapons themselves, we can use in a simple way. So we can see that here there is this little piece that we can push down, and we have this connector that could be used on the punches. So we can have this a sort of rifle, and not bad. Eventually we can duplicate, or we can elongate in such a way, so it's an option. So it has not bad options too. Eventually we can also have fun, because we can, for example, play with some things. For example, we can transform this in a sort of here arch piece or so on, so we can really have quite a lot of fun. For example, this could be an arc, okay, it could be quite intriguing in a lot of different ways, so we can have fun to play with something or so on, or eventually try to make that it's shooting multiple times. For example, we can rotate like this once that we push here, and so we can have a sort of multiple shooting. It's really something that you have only to decide how you prefer to play with. It's okay, something. It's not something that you have to really take note of on, but okay, it's available, simply it. So take your time to choose what you prefer. And now it's time to prepare about Superion. So let's convert this in the part about the breast and head of Superion, and then we have all these pieces that will compose all the rest of the part about Superion. So Superion, for the most part, it's this. It's this one, it's the link, and with this model we have the complete Superion technically. So let's start to transform this. as you can see, the main part is ready. Okay, here I decided not to make this connection combine and so on, because I want to be able to move everything without any problem. And it's technically a great part of the way to concord the version, because if we rotate this part and we fold up this, it's technically the concord, so it's not so problematic. So we move this aside and we can see about the rest of the body. So here we have to dismantle this and prepare the parts. So here we can find that we can remove, and we can really find here that we have the part about the basin and the breast here. So we have to put the part about the model here inside and close, but we see after that I disclose everything about this piece here. And here instead we can separate this, and we can find so that we have the part about the right arm with the left leg, and the part about the left hand with the right part of the leg. So it's really quite intriguing. Okay, we have only the need now to prepare everything, so we can recompose everything and prepared for such a thing, because we have to see them step by step. So it's really quite simple as doing, but it has a bit of movement. So let's see, and once that I end, I make you see also some little details that you have to pay attention, because it could be quite interesting. So let's start. So something to say about here, we can find that it's really quite interesting, because we can move and it's not a problem. Here we have this piece that will go to be connected here in this way, but once that we're done, it's really quite intriguing. Eventually we can rotate, so it's really not bad at all. We can see that we can rotate here the wrist, so it's quite intriguing, and it has quite a lot of options. So here we have simply to fix, and it has quite a lot of maneuverability. I quite like. Here, sincerely, I show you that you can connect eventually, for example, Slingshot here, but I suggest you to separate Slingshot before to go to connect, because otherwise it will be quite problematic. It's really quite hard, and I don't suggest you to do. About the legs, here we can find that we can flip in a really interesting way. About this piece, technically you should close, but if you want to have more stability, don't close, simply make it rest like this, so that you can adjust and having more surface that you can use to stabilize. It's really quite interesting. And instead, about this, you have to pay about attention of this little piece, because once that it's locked, you can't move this part or risk to break. If you make that you can slide this open, you can make it move. So it's something that you have to pay attention, because if you close for arrows on, you have to pay attention not to force too much, otherwise you risk to break the mechanism. And to connect eventually about this, you have simply to slide inside, so you can make really quite a simple effort. So not bad at all in my opinion, and now the only thing that it remains is to make the final assembly and see the model completed. So let's see about this Superion. As you can see about the arms, we can move quite a lot about this, personalized in a lot of different ways. So it's much mobile than a lot of other robots. Here the head can be moved up and down and left and right. And here about the back, essentially I kept these parts that should be put down, up, so that we can make the rotation without any problem behind. Okay, it's your decision. And here about the legs, we can make really quite a vast amount of movement, so it's really not bad. And another thing, okay, here remember that you have this trick eventually if you need to make more movement and so on, so that you can position in even much more intriguing way. And remember that when you don't have something behind it, so that you close these panels, you can eventually put the feet so that you go up and make that you can have more surface here eventually to use. It's up to you decide how much you want to personalize. About here, the wings you can put up or down, since I prefer in this position. So it's still quite intriguing because you can personalize in a lot of amazing way. Interesting also that there are these pieces eventually to put something. I don't know what could be done here, but eventually to make some other connection, because also here you have other pieces that eventually could ampliate with other extra. So it's really quite interesting. At the end, it has a few defects that are this really hole here, that it's not completely the best in my opinion, but it's quite refined. It's much better in the option of Superion, that is a way I appreciate better than in the part of the Radiant one, the part about the robot itself or other things. So quite intriguing. And now let's complete this to make the Superion. So add the other part of the elbow. So here add the slingshot, the upper part that goes here. Here have the bottom part. Here, as you can see, there is this piece that is the connection. Okay, here you can see these pieces here that goes to combine here. So it's really quite simple to put everything together, and not bad in my opinion as sight. Instead, here we had the part about the leg. So we take AairRaid and we push everything together. So we had this connection here and these ones, and then we push everything together. Okay, and we move down, and we see that moving we close the doors. So it's a simple one. The real problem is when not we go to remove these ones, because it's not a problem, but this, because when we start we can see that this remain fixed, so it's a problem. So we need some tool to make that we can remove them from the position, otherwise it will be quite strengthy to you risk to break eventually. So you have to decide, but once that you put everything together anyway, then we can see about what we can gain as positioning. So that once that we're done, you can see that in some position we can have quite a lot of intriguing. So it's not bad. I like aspect, and being having this part here that it's quite in the back, and then this part that balance a bit. And here, as I said, it's better to use a sort of better stabilizer. So it's really quite having a lot of fun. A pity that the AairRaid is not on the front, so that it can be seen. A bit of pity, because sincerely I've preferred and would be more like the original. Instead here, okay, it recalled quite a lot Menazor. I can understand the part about the arms, but about the legs I'm not completely satisfied. The mod is fantastic, but there is such a limit. And here I wanted to show you the comparison of Superion, the Imperial Knight of the Games Workshop, Vulcanicus and Tyrannoflex. So we can see that it's really quite big. Here are two different type of combiners. So here a combiner that it's a commander and the Voyagers. Here a full core one. And it's really quite a difference because here doesn't arrive even to the basin of the Superion itself. So quite intriguing. I quite love such both models, the combiners. Sincerely has something to say about Superior than that, but it's really quite nice. Here we can associate this because seeing the comparison with the Imperial Knight to a Titan of the Games Workshop, so quite intriguing. Do you want to store Superion in a form that it's Superior but doesn't occupy too much high space? And here it's the option, so that it's a cube. I simply fold up Superion and okay, it's funny, but it's a way. So at least you should be able to use everything without any problem, because anyway use the height of the backpack without any problem, and really quite interesting. I simply fold the part about the feet so that it could be better in the way, and it's really quite simple, so a nice transformation. We simply have to fold up everything. As you can see, pay attention about the leg here that have to move a bit aside before to put, but then you can make Superion back. So simple but nice. So to say about such Superion, sincerely I like, I don't like. I like because it's amazing. It's full of mobility and so on, so you can really personalize a lot, and it's amazing. It's sighting, it's really quite amazing. It's my favorite compared to the G1 and the other that I've seen for both official and third-party ones, so it's really quite nice. And I'm waiting for the Skydive and Firefly to finish and see the dream that I had since I was a child to have a complete Superion, so I'm really quite glad about this. It's a 31 centimeter of full of emotion, but at the same time there are pieces that I don't completely like, and one of the main ones it's about the legs, because see the legs with this behind and not in the front, so the leg really formed by the model. It's something that make me not so agree completely, because I would have preferred to have a model that had the arms and the legs formed by the robot instead of having like this. In some way the Vulcanicus it's better because the parts combined create, okay. Here you have the mod that it's complete, but at the same time you have seen that in the Silverbolt version you have a massive part that it's okay, you can reuse and so on, but it's a platforming. It's not completely, because in a way you can dedicate, you can really personalize, but at the same time not completely satisfied. I like that they thought about having the option to have the way to have the Concorde in the Super Concorde, so at least in that way you don't have such problems. Eventually you can also to create the landing, okay, but at the same time it's missing something. The better part is in this way, so that you can see that it's the Superion. The Superion itself, it's amazing. It's really the best part of all the combination that you can gain, and it's a bit of pity because Silverbolt lose a lot of potential. It's like everything from the various Aerialbot by themselves lose their sight of what is their potential. So Superion, it's amazing. The bots, the Aerialbots that form combined the Superion, not so much, or better they are, but at the same time they have quite a lot of problems. So it's a bit of pity because it's not the best. Sincerely I would have hoped something more like the combiner that is Vulcanicus, as I said, but the final aspect that we have this, so it has quite a lot of potential that it's a bit not completely used in some way. But it's amazing. The details that there are simply fantastic. The bands of color here, the detail about the mark of the Autobots. I love such model, but at the same time I'm not completely satisfied. It's a mix. I know that they can be semi-strange and so on, but in my opinion, it's the best Superion that you can have now, but not the best Superion that I would have hoped to have bought. So a bit of pity in my opinion, but still at least now have a Superion. Nice.
So,
from deynonmod it's everything. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell so to receive notification about new video, to comment under here about this video, or if you want to suggest me new videos. So I hope to see you again to the next time.